Okay, so I'm back again. Thank you for your patience. And I had just finished introducing Mr. Ojikutu, but Mr. Femi Ojikutu is actually here now. I mean, that I can guarantee now. I was sure the first time around, but it was what it was. So Mr. Femi Ojikutu, just in case you're joining us in this minute, I was telling you, is a lawyer. He's also social and political affairs commentator. He's also the national strategist for Boot Party of Nigeria, BOOT being an acronym for Because of Our Tomorrow, B-O-O-T. So we're happy to have Mr. Femi Ojikutu. Good morning to you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Folari.
Yori will do. Thank you very much. Okay, so here we are. And I had, sort of billed you that I would be hearing from you as a, hearing from you as many people probably will have an impression of what it's like in America. I'm talking, of course, about the arrival of the new president, the new old president. President Trump was in power, before, and then there was this interregnum of the Biden administration. So here he is, and he has 4 years to go now, not 8 years that most presidents start with. So he's been 10 days in office. Immigration seems to have dominated the headlines, although there probably will be other things that people think are important. I wonder what your thoughts are of the first 10 days of President Donald J. Trump's in office.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Folari. Well, in America, it's been a time of, I can't say it's total chaos, because what the president is doing is what he promised. And from day one, as soon as he assumed the office, for those who are kind of aware of what was going on, he signed as many as 42 orders.
Executive orders.
Yes, on that day. And he signed some in the public glare. Everybody saw it. And what was very key to him and to his supporters was that he was delivering on all the things he promised them. So he did that, and some at the on the ground, some in the White House, and he was making a demonstration of all those. So, and those executive orders took effect almost immediately. And most of them were turning around whatever executive orders that Biden had in place. But the most important ones were the one on immigration and the birthright citizenship. I mean, yes. Birthright citizenship is for those kids that were born in the U.S., that anybody born in the U.S., as per Constitution, is a citizen of the U.S. He now came and said, no, if you are not a legal migrant and you had a kid there, those kids should not be U.S. citizens. So that was a big one. And there are many other orders that have happened in between there. But as soon as he put pen to paper on those executive orders, the first one that took there was the immigration, the deportation order. In fact, they used military aircraft to ferret some people out of the U.S. to countries like Colombia. In fact, some of them got to Colombia, and the country was not ready for them. They first said, no way, they were not going to take them. But, I mean, when they went under threat and Donald Trump told them that if they did not, he was going to put tariff on them, I think they kind of succumbed. So it's been a lot of things going on between then and now. People are being rounded up here and there. And everybody, you see immigration lawyers giving advice here and there. And also we have the frenzy of people of his executives being presented to the Senate for approval. All those things are going on. But the most important thing is that is what America voted for. The Americans wanted, Americans usually want a change. They are always restless. After 2 months, they'll be tired of you. They want somebody else. They just want a change, whether for good or for bad, they want a change. So, and that's what he promised them, and he's doing it. And he knows very well that most of those executive orders will not see the light of the day. Like the one for citizenship, he passed it that same night. Some attorney generals went to court, and they put another on it that it should stop. And he knew that would happen, but the first thing he has done is that he has kind of delivered on his promise. So he now has the excuse to tell his followers that, well, I did what I told I was going to do. Is this attorney generals or is Democrats that are blocking me from doing this? And the same thing happened during the first term. The first term, the day he came in, that was the day he kind of signed the executive order for ban of Muslims coming to the U.S. In fact, those who are arriving, those who are legal residents, those who had green card, that is the residency in the U.S. that were traveling in from those Muslim countries, they were returned on the spot. So everybody knew who Donald Trump was, and America chose to vote for him, and I think he's delivering on his promises. So we all are there, and what will happen is we all have to see the consequences of what, and that's why they say that election matters, voting matters, and that's where we're at now, Mr. Folari.
So President Trump is doing a great job as far as he and his supporters are concerned.
Oh, yes. I mean, he's delivering against all what he promised them. So the first thing is that, I mean, now, the unfortunate thing is that some people voted for him on single issue. Some people is because of abortion. Oh, why should women be aborting? That's just one single issue. The evangelicals too, they voted for him on single issue. Some voted because of Israel. Some voted because of Gaza. Some voted because of LGBTQ. That was a single issue. But they never thought about other issues that actually affect them. Now, one of the executive orders was that all federal workers should go back to the office 5 days in a week. And remember that in the last 4 or 5 years after COVID, most offices were operating remotely. Some people sold their houses in Washington, D.C. and went to Tennessee and some other states, and they were working remote. They sold their houses. They are now settled. He said all of them should come back to the office 5 days a week. And yesterday again, he now said, okay, come back to the office. If you want to resign, we'll pay you from now till September, then you can go. So all he wants to do is he wants to kind of reshape the administration, the overall, and that is a way of doing it. Yeah, so that's, people now are kind of paying for whatever getting whatever they paid for.
You know, but to be fair, first of all, this is very worrying to immigrants that are in the U.S., not just African immigrants. We'll come to that. That's where we come into the matter. People are quite concerned about what President Trump is doing from his own MAGA, Make America Great Again perspective. But it needs to be said that if you look at it very, very closely, this wave of deportations and all of that, it didn't really begin with President Trump. In fact, it's not many know that it's continuing from President Biden's time. But you see, there's a sense in which, well, President Biden and other presidents, you know, they sort of fit the bill of, you know, how does one put this delicately now? They're quite diplomatic. That doesn't, they can be as serious as they need to be, but they are as diplomatic. But then President Trump is a different kettle of fish altogether. He says things, let it be said, sometimes that is seen as hateful, that is even seemed to be against particular certain races. I remember that in 2018 he made world headlines when he called some African countries shithole countries, a horrible word to use on air. So there's all of that behind President Trump, for which he has no apologies, by the way. But the point I was making here is that other presidents have also pursued the deportation agenda, but maybe with not as much rancor or noise. What would you say to that?
Yes, you see, what people don't know is that during President Trump's first term in office, he said he was going to build the border, build the wall. He was going to wall,
which by the way, he has ordered work recommencement on. Work has recommenced on the wall.
Yeah, but he was supposed to build about 2,000 miles of wall, and he didn't even build up to 500. In fact, he didn't build more than maybe 100 miles. Okay. But it was the refurbishment of the old ones. However, it's on record that President Obama deported more immigrants during his 8-year tenure than even the first 4 years than did President Trump. But what is very important to him is to speak to the sentiment of Americans.
Okay.
What you want to hear, and he will say it. For instance, he said inflation is going to go down. But as soon as he came in, he said, well, I don't think it's possible to let inflation go down. He will say those things to win election. And that's where the Democrats are failing. Democrats are not able to communicate their message properly to people. They do. Okay, for instance, during the election, Donald Trump will talk about, the kitchen table issues, like what is really affecting the populace. He will talk about inflation. He will talk about security. He will talk about crime. Democrat will be talking about GDP. What is GDP to me? I'm on the street. I don't know the full meaning of GDP. You are telling me that the GDP has improved. You are telling me the interest rate has improved. What have I got to? I'm hungry. I've gone to the shop. What I was buying for $4 is now $7 or $6. You are telling me GDP. You are telling me LGBTQ. You are telling what? Those are not things that Americans were interested in. And Donald Trump understands all this, and that's what he will use to get to power. And as soon as he gets there, now this second term is more emboldened because he now knows that he can ride roughshod on the system. Now you cannot see any GOP senator except maybe one or two of them that can go against him. They cannot. You cannot see anybody in that party. So he is the lord of the party now. So anything he wants, he signs the executive. He even stopped the aids to all countries and also stopped the aids and benefits to Americans. He did that on Monday, and by Tuesday, it was bedlam all over. Say, what happened? They had to kind of resign the order. They said, okay, that's not what we meant. The order included withdrawing food for kids in school, all sorts of things, all sorts of benefits. In fact, so he has done a lot of things to speak to the sentiment of Americans. And unfortunately, people, in fact, in the last 10 days, his approval rating has dropped like almost 10 points, maybe between 6 and 10 points in the last 10 days. So everyone knows what will happen in the next 30, 40 days and 50 days. And people calling me, what can you do to help me? Because they have an idea that I'm a lawyer. To help you how? They say this Donald Trump. Now, even me, going on the street, I'll have to hold my photocopy of my passport just in case they stop you. Because the issue is that they will deport you first. They don't even care where they're deporting you to. They just want to show that you have been deported. And that's where they're at in that regard.
In fact, it needs to be said because if people had known from the beginning that a time would come when this would be the way that the head of the country, the first citizen of the country, will be acting, maybe a lot of people that had come, that had believed the American mantra of give me your people, give me your poor, let them come here to safety, let them come here to freedom, which has been listened to by the world for decades, but now suddenly they are being disrespected as badly as they are because that's really the whole point. Nobody wants to be in America, let it be said, under such ignominious conditions. But as our people say locally, you get why. So we have so many, people in that place now, and in America. But it's a problem. It's a problem because there are many Americans who feel that President Trump is not living up to the American ideal. You've probably seen President Reagan the social media, piece, a little 30, 40-second piece where Reagan was, talking about the key aspect of America. It takes people from around the world. Even President Trump, a lot of people have made this observation. President Trump's wife and his family, nobody is an American by birth apart from the native indigenous Indians. But look at the way it is going now. Many people are consoling themselves with the idea that, give him some time, he will peter out. Omar, what is your comment in that regard?
Yes, I think I side with those that have that kind of opinion. Because during the first term, he went in there with all the blusters. He came in, I'm going to deport people, I'm going to do this. At the end, most of those things ended in court. And even before he assumed office, between the time he won the election in November and assumed office in January, all these associations, all these legal associations like ACLU, they were ready for him with suits. So as soon as he was putting those orders on the table, they were going to court, putting injunction and all sorts of things, But the most important thing is, what is driving this populism is the fact that a particular part of the American citizen or citizenry is feeling threatened. Because what is happening is that in some cities, just as in the UK, in some cities, they are seeing immigrants kind of taking over. And all the opportunities that they have are being threatened. If you if you are if you are a graduate, you are looking for a job, you can only get many jobs. And you will see some people in America with their high school diploma, they will be your boss in the office. But the way that the metropolitan areas or the cosmopolitan areas of America, the way they are changing is a big threat. Now, in a state like California, a state like New York, you go to Chicago, you go to North Carolina, all those states are turning black. When I say black, it's becoming so in such places, it's getting more difficult for white people to win elections. So when they cannot win elections, like, okay, these were taking over this country for more. So anybody who will make them to at least delay that thing from happening, they will support. And that is the issue. And that's what they are playing to that. Okay, these people are taking over. And you can see it happening. If you go all these areas, if you go to Dallas, if you go to Houston, you go to all those big cities, you can hardly find it possible for GOP, that's the Republican Party, winning elections. So they always win the hinterland, the red America. That's where they win. So, but in the main, in the East Coast, West Coast, all these areas are becoming purple. When you say purple state, those are swing states that sometimes go Republican and sometimes they go. So all those things have become a threat for them, and they are looking for a shrine. Who can we surround? Who can we worship? And the apparent shrine for now is Donald Trump. So he is the trumpet that is blowing it, and they are supporting him. And those who do not know, like this election was a surprise to many. He won the blacks, he won the Hispanics, he won even California. I would not believe that he will have majority votes in California. He won California, and he closed all the gaps. He won all the purple states. He won handily. It's not that.
So what do you think is going on there? As people are complaining around the world across the party divide, he won in those places, and this is stupendous. This is strange. This is surprising, I imagine.
Yes, but you see, election is about messaging. No matter what you do for people, the economy of the U.S. is the strongest ever, and in the world currently, the economy has really done well using all indices. But when you are talking to people, you have to let them know what you are doing, what you have done, and what you are going to do. What Democrats could not do was that they could not communicate with the people. And they believe that the middle class, like the educated elites, were the people that believe that will know what is GDP, that will know what is interest rate, that will know what is cryptocurrency. Those people that are going to vote did not understand that. And Donald Trump was saying, oh, Egg was selling for this. And he forgot that by the time he was leaving the last time, the U.S. lost about 10 million jobs. And everybody has forgotten. But he knows how to play to the sentiment. The last time during COVID era, and government was giving some relief to people, and they were giving checks. On those checks, it was his signature. You will see. You will see Donald Trump. He will sign his signature on the check. So most people believe that Donald Trump gave us money when there was during COVID, and Biden had not given them any money. And again, he knows how to play all those games. So he will do that. He will speak to what they want to have from him. He doesn't mind. All he wanted was to get to power, and he got to power now. And what he promises people is going to do. And I'm saying it. What Donald Trump is doing is what America wanted. So it's a numbers game. So if you do, in fact, I'm surprised that even the black male, the Hispanics, there was nothing that Democrats did not use to encourage them, to persuade them. They voted for him, the blacks. So he won the blacks, he won the children, he won all those demographics. So what can you say? That is what America wanted.
Okay, when you say America got what it wanted through its election, there's a groundswell of opposition to many of his ideas. I think the most notable ones about this whole situation, for example, the matter of even if you were in America, even if you were documented, your children don't necessarily become citizens. I'm introducing kind of new ideas that are not part of the conversation. And when you say America got what it wanted. There's so many people, and you've itemized, some of those people who are just waiting for him because America is still a democracy and we still have the courts there as a system. How would you explain this is what America wanted and the groundswell of opinion that we're getting that he's not going to get away with it? I mean, Guantanamo Bay, for goodness sake, 30,000 illegal immigrants have been set for, to be accommodated there. So these kind of things going on in peace times. How would you then explain that America got what it wanted, yet America is rallying now as much as they can against President Trump?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the same thing that in Nigeria. I mean, Nigeria got what it wanted, and what we have there now is make America great again. America knew Donald Trump. So it's not that he's a stranger. They didn't know him. They knew him. He had 34 felony. He was convicted. He caused January 6 riots. He was owing about 300-something million as a penalty or whatever on different cases, different suits. But America saw all those and still voted for him. No, I mean, nobody will tell me the election was rigged. They voted for him because when I discuss with people, you will see that, no, we are going to vote for him. Some of them, single issue. Some will say, oh, we are in church, we are praying that how can there be gay? Okay, there's no gay now, but the prices of food has increased. They have withdrawn the aid that they give to your kids. So how does is the gay man living in your house? What's your business with gay? What's your business with abortion? Are you a woman? What's your business? But people do not care. They just wanted that change. And Biden, Obama, all these people are steady hands. You could see there was an election, not even a single court case. Democrats didn't go to court.
That's right.
But when the President Trump lost, there were 60 court cases, different ones in different directions. And all those cases he lost. After losing, which in America, once you've lost in court at the Supreme Court level, that's the end. He now said, okay, gentlemen, gather on January 6th, let's go to the Capitol. He went to Capitol, they did the riot, everything went on. He came back, and what did he do? He pardoned all of those people. So what has happened in America now is that, well, if you commit crime on my behalf, don't worry, I'll pardon you. And what will happen, what Biden did when he was leaving was, those people he knew that there was going to be retribution against, he pardoned all of them, including the children and family.
Yes. Then I'll tell you what. Sorry, Mr. Ojikutu. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. And when we do come back, we'll continue this conversation and also take your calls from home. Stay with us, please.
I appreciate that.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Labor Lens, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Labor Lens, I ensure we engage effectively the organized labor, organized private sector, and government to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Ijason, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
Okay, welcome back, and we're having this conversation with Mr. Femi Ojikutu, who is of the, because of our tomorrow political party, Boot Party. in Nigeria here. We're looking at President Trump's first 10 days in office and his impressions on it. We'd also like to hear from you at home. In fact, I know you're bursting, as it were, at the seams. We're willing to, contribute. We finished off, Mr. Ojikutu, on the matter of, America is such a place where, people think of America as the democracy capital of the world, and that they taught the world about democracy. Don't go back to its ancient beginnings. But America has been a faithful and ardent practitioner of democracy. But then, once the thing is done within the laws, it stays in America. So suddenly, Biden was leaving. He pardoned a lot of people that he suspected might be in trouble with Trump when he comes on board. He didn't scatter and go to the Supreme Court and stay for ages on end there. But the American way is that he will accept, and he did accept. And so what has happened has happened. Biden, granted pardons. What kind of pardons were those? But they were the pardons, that. And then Trump has come in as well. And he's probably going, in fact, he has already pardoned those who caused trouble, who resorted to violence at the Capitol. And none of these things are ordinary. In fact, they are strange to most people, but they were done within the law. So we have President Trump pardoning people for their criminal acts, and even Biden, that is thought of differently. He also engaged in the same thing, including pardoning his own family. But Mr. George has come on the line. Let's take this caller, and then I'll come back to you. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning to Mr. Ojikutu.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, what is happening in America can be likened to gullibility. Gullibility in the sense that the people that voted for this man knew all these things like Mr. Ojikutu has enumerated. They knew him as a convicted criminal. They knew him as an immigrant himself. His grandfather is an immigrant, immigrated to America. His wife is an immigrant. An average American is an immigrant. What he is doing is akin to, all right, all other countries. I want your citizens out of my country, but I want your goods. We want to consume whatever you produce. But your persons must never visit our land. That is not practicable in the modern world. If you cannot accept me as a person, you want to accept what is produced in my country. Is that not absolute racism? And that is what this man is practicing. He told them all these things that he's doing. Like the speaker said, they were gullible. None of them could think deep that this is not good for our system. This is not good for our people. Yet you went ahead and voted for this man. You know his records. You know what he has done before. And he's telling you that when he comes, this is what he's going to do. One of the things he said was that Americans will not vote again, that is the last time they will vote. He was telling them he's coming as a dictator and that he will not need elections again to remain in power. And Mr. Ojikutu will testify that in the U.S. right now, he's already promoting that idea that he wants to remain a dictator for life, just like Putin is doing in Russia. These people knew about it.
Yeah, but America has the Constitution that all must subject itself to.
He wants to set aside the Constitution. He is a dictator. Doesn't Russia have Constitution? But see what Putin is doing with it. Okay. What he wants to do a similar thing in America. What I want to tell our government in Nigeria, because Mr. Ojikutu said something very key, that people in America played into the sentiments that the opposition, that Donald Trump were selling, and that the Democrats failed to show what they were doing. The same thing is happening in Nigeria. I stay here. I go to places because I don't want people to know my identity, because I want to get facts. I go into places and get facts. This government will have is not telling people exactly what they are doing. The president only gets to be understood when he speaks directly to the people. He has no spokespersons. A lot is being done that people do not know. And if he's not careful, the same thing can happen when he's seeking a re-election. So I agree with Mr. Ojikutu 100% about what he's saying, because that is the simple truth.
Okay.
We should try to be our neighbor's keeper. There is no country that is 100% self-sufficient and say, I don't need anything from another country. That is the picture Donald Trump is painting. And the gullibility of Americans is helping him to succeed in promoting it. That's why Yahoo boys used to succeed with them and dupe them and succeed. They tell them all sort of sweet things. They buy into it. When they lose their money, they start calling Nigerians or Yahoo boys. The intelligent people will dupe you with this kind of your gullibility. Excuse me.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Mr. George, for calling in. In fact, a lot of people feel the way Mr. George does feel. But let us return to the matter about Trump. President Trump is covered by the law at this moment, even involving the military in what shouldn't be. So it does look that the system will bend over for democracy, even as you can put side by side with that the charge of gullibility that Mr. George has leveled, that Americans are gullible. You asked for it, you got it. Why are you now complaining?
Yes. And why, you see, most times when we act, we act on impulse. You know, if you're hungry now, all you want is food. It's after you've eaten, you discover that, oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Okay, so when you are hungry, the next thing you want is just food. It's after you have eaten, you now discover that, where am I? I'm in jail. Because the first thing is, so what Americans have done is, based on what was going on and based on the kind of things they were with, and based on the strategy, the campaign strategy of Democrats, there was no way, because most of us believe that never again will Trump win an election in that country. But you see, there are some things that were not properly done. This man caused the riot of January 6. The Democrats were in government. For 2 years, they were just doing investigation in the House, in the Senate, and even Ajoria was sitting down there. He was sitting on his hands for 2 years. So after 2 years, when elections were just 2 years away, he started going to court. And Donald Trump knows everything, all the maneuverings in the court system. All he needed to do was to delay, and started saying that it was because of election, and he started raising funds, and he built up the sentiment to say that because of this. And again, there are some things there are some low-hanging fruits that Democrats could have dealt with. One of such was this immigration issue. Even if you, as a resident, even if you're an illegal immigrant, people will call. If you went to New York, even New York Mayor Eric Adams, he came out to say that he had over 100,000 immigrants in New York, and you see them on the street. And you know what? When they come like that, government will house them. They will give them shelter. They will give them money. They will go and buy. They will go and do shopping. Immigrants, but you are there in the US. You are working there at night. You cannot even do any shopping. So people were really annoyed with Democrats, and they just kept it like that, doing it, moving people from state to state. There was no way. People were so tired of that. And Donald Trump was saying, look, you know that Trump plays everything up. Even he said it during his inauguration, he said the crime rate in Venezuela has gone down by 78% because they have exported all their criminals to the US. Where did he get the statistics? He said all the jails all over the world, they've released all their criminals that are in the US now. You know, and as soon as they killed anybody, what they wanted to know is if that person that killed somebody was an immigrant. If he was, they would put it out of proportion.
That's apart from accusing either immigrants or potential immigrants of being cat eaters. Mazi Okoroafo, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for holding on.
Honestly speaking, I congratulate our brother Trump. What he's doing there is a very nice thing for the whole world. Really?
How do you mean?
Yeah, let me give my reason. You see, people will stay in their own country. Instead of them to stay there and put their input to be in their own country, they will decide to do what? To vamoose and go to the main place. When you go to the remote place, that is why we have a government. You are in the government. You are not in the government. Instead of to sit there in your country and be part and parcel of the development of your country, you be going to remain fake. That is it. Honestly, Trump has done a very bold thing in the whole world. Now look at Brazil. Over 500,000 people going. Now look at 500,000. No? Is it not more than a country or more than a state? Where was you leave your country? Where was you vamoose? Now look at how people are Japan. What does it take us as a Nigerian to put this in order? Now, you leave your own country and going there to invest in another country. Why not sit down and invest all those to defend? Do you know, Sayuri, let Nigerians listen very well. If all the investment Nigerians are invested in other countries, they have done it like that. So something like unemployment. But we go outside Nigeria, carry Nigerian money, support Nigerian money, corrupted traders, and go to other countries and invest. Does it make sense?
All right.
All these criminalities everywhere.
Okay. So because of that, you identify.
Forget about it. Trump has done the very right thing for the whole world. Trump, continue your job. The God bless you and keep the good morning, Sayuri.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okorofa. A very angry Mazi Okorofa there. Please continue, Mr. Ojikutu.
Mr. Yori, quickly, I would have loved to know where Mr. Okorafor was calling from.
He was calling from Arochukwu.
In his village. If he left his village to go anywhere else, then he doesn't know what he's saying. Because why did you leave your village to come to Arochukwu if you know that you are supposed to stay in your village?
No, Arochukwu is his base. He's his place.
His base, but is that his village? I ask him, is that his village? He should stay in the village. In fact, he should not even go out of his house, because if he goes out of his house, why didn't he stay in his house? So you see, some people are very myopic and people need exposure. You know, so all the Igbo people in Lagos or wherever from Arochukwu that are in Lagos, what are they looking for in Lagos? Why can't they say in Onitsha? What are they doing there? Because he is trying to justify, but they are the ones that are going there. They say, why didn't he advocate that all Igbo should come back home? But they will be saying that, so it depends. I'm saying, look, level of exposure matters. People just sit down and talk.
I was wondering if that, sorry, sir, I was wondering if part of what you said wouldn't be in a different kind of a conversation that you have sort of imported into this one. Because this is a situation here where there's a clear case of, it is what it is. You're working against people simply because of where they come from. I don't know that we necessarily have that kind of a situation here.
Yes, I mean, Donald Trump, I don't think he's working against anybody. It can just happen to you because of your situation. If you're a legal migrant, I mean, a migrant there, I mean, yeah, some things might affect you, but it's affecting you not because, I mean, there are African Americans there that are black. It's not telling them to go anywhere anyway. It's just putting his policies in place. So if you have to be in the mix of whatever he's doing, then but for me, he's doing what he's supposed to do because that was what Americans voted for.
Okay.
And we next 4 years.
At least to that extent, you and Mazi Okorofa are on the same page. You know, at least to that extent. This last sentence you just made. But there's somebody else. There's someone on the line. Help me with who? Alhaji Subaya. Good morning, Alhaji Subaya.
Good morning, Yori.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Yori. Happy New Year at the same time.
Good morning. Thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you. Right. You see, we need to say the facts. We need to say the fact about the step being taken by President Trump. President Trump does not hide his feelings right from the time of campaign. We all understand. He said it, and he's now taking action on what he said. But by and large, with that step he's taking, with that action he's taking, there's positive aspect of it and there's negative aspect of it. The positive aspect of it is this. He's sending a message to our leaders. He doesn't hide it. He's sending a message to our leaders that they should, take care of their country and they should take care of their people. And, he condemned the action of our leaders. He was transferring our resources to their country. You understand? He said it. He make it open. You see? And this is somebody that is condemning all the bad activities of our leaders. And look, charity begins us at home. If our country is okay, you understand, nobody will be migrating to abroad. The people that migrated to abroad, are they finding it easy? They are not finding it easy. Look at the weather. Look at the way they're working. You understand? So that's why I said there's a positive aspect of it. You understand? But the negative aspect of it is nobody is an island. Look at the United Kingdom. You understand? United Kingdom, UK is so diplomatic with the immigrants because they know the advantage of the immigrants in the United Kingdom. You understand? But this guy, he hit the bull by the horn. But if other people can just do it, people both, because like I said, nobody's an island. If all other countries can do it, you can forget about the American people. Let them see, let the Americans see if they can handle their country alone. That is why I said that is the negative aspect of it. But the important line is that our leaders should learn lesson from that. Let's reorganize our house. They go to abroad. Mr. You remember, those are seniors. If you go to oversee those things, they quickly come back home because Nigeria is applicable for everybody. You go there and read and come back to exercise the knowledge you have. But nowadays, because our country is not habitable, that is why you find everybody go to abroad. That's
Indeed.
My point.
Thank you very much, Subaya, for calling in. Appreciate your call. Interesting points were made there by Subaya because I was thinking that, look, wait a minute. Look at what he just said. Back in the day when our parents would travel to, either the UK or the US. If it were US, I'm remembering Nnamdi Azikiwe, for example. If it is UK, virtually all of the legal profession, the doyens of the field, they would come back very, very quickly. But that, arguably, is because there was so much promise, so much hope back then that the place to be is back home. Let's go back home and help make our country great. So that's another form of MAGA that our parents, I think, really believed in. But then things changed around. And that goes back to what both Subaya and Mazi Okorafor were talking about, that there's a lesson in this for our leaders. And you are part of the system too. Boot is a political party. You contested for the election. You want to be in charge of the country. So maybe you can speak to this whole matter about the promise that the people that Subaya just referred to, that would go to wherever, finish with their studies, be back home quickly within 3, 4, 5 years, in most instances, it's not like that anymore.
Yes, I mean, what Mr. Subaru said is 100% accurate. Those days, people, even then, those days, if you got admission to study in the US, we used to believe that people that did not do very well in their school SAT were the ones going to the US. It was UK.
That's right.
Yes.
Indeed. Impressions change. Yes, you're right. You're very, very right.
Yes, it used to be UK. Then the day you graduate, the following day you are back in Nigeria and you are getting a job in the ministry. They are giving you a loan to buy a 504 or Volkswagen. They are giving even in schools, secondary schools, all our teachers used to have quarters where they were living.
So it means we, as a people, we dropped the ball on our people. Yes, we dropped the ball.
We did. And that's why now people, I mean, those days, those that were traveling were going on government scholarship. Remember that?
That's right.
So they felt the obligation to come back. But now you have to sell your house, or dad has to sell his house or sell his farm or whatever for you to travel. And how do you pay back if you come back and there is no job for you? So what we are saying, in effect, is that in America, what they are trying to do, one cannot blame them. It's their country. If you are a citizen, go vote. Whatever the outcome is what
you have to accept.
Yeah, we have ourselves to blame, but our own policy is a different ball game entirely. And if we bring that into this space, it will change the conversation entirely. Because in America, the voting system is quite transparent to a very large extent. So the issue of the rig election, I mean, I'm part of it, and I know that it's very difficult to rig election. So even if they say the rig election, there are irregularities.
We've run out of time, Mr. Ojikutu, but I still need to appreciate you for making time available for us this morning. I think the bottom line is that, well, America asked for it, and America enabled it, and America got it. We now have to sort of meander within that space. And many people are saying that this won't go on forever. Even Americans are saying that this won't go on forever. And I want to thank you very much, Mr. Ojikutu, for coming on the program this morning. Really appreciate you. Okay, so that's our program. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.